Yeah, ahead of time, I'd just like to remind anyone out there that it's a very bad idea to feed your dogs chocolates, or really to give any sort of sweets to your pets, but especially don't give your dogs chocolates. Anyway, it's finally time to make the last sweet of the original five before I have to tackle Shiel and her elaborate parfait. God, I'm not confident about that one. Still, before that, at least I don't have to make a particularly difficult treat. In fact, I've baked with chocolate on countless occasions. Probably one time too many, according to my doctor and my dentist, but nonetheless, let's take a look at the treat that makes the cliched sick little sister smile with Akira's dog chocolate. Again, don't actually feed this to your dogs. Now, in spite of the name, this dessert is more of a brownie than, say, a truffle as it might suggest, and as such, we only really need the basics. 80 grams of semi-sweet coarsely chopped, 100 grams of butter cubed, 80 grams of sugar, 2 eggs, don't roll away, 50 grams of cake flour, more on that in a bit, a teaspoon of baking powder, and 30 grams of cocoa powder. Now, normally when I bake brownies, I would usually use almost exactly these same ingredients, except for the cake flour. Usually I use all-purpose, but the recipe on Toei's site specifically called for wheat flour, which is what cake flour is, so I'm really not going to question it, and I'll just follow the recipe for now, and we'll see where it leads us. Anyway, I'm going to start by bringing the water in this pot to a simmer, and then make a double boiler. Gonna throw in the chocolate and the butter, and stir often, don't want this stuff to burn. Once it was all nice and smooth, I took it off the heat and stirred in the sugar and the eggs one at a time. By the way, I let these eggs come to room temperature so that there's not that much of a heat difference and they won't curdle as a result. Once all the wet ingredients were in, we could move on to the dry goods. Just gonna put my sifter over the bowl and I'm just gonna sift it all together. By the way, be careful not to breathe this stuff in. That cocoa powder is strong stuff. Once it was all sifted in, I traded in my whisk for a spatula and folded it in. Now into a square baking pan that I've lined both ways with parchment paper. I spread the batter as evenly out as possible and into a 325-degree oven it goes for about 20 to 30 minutes. Half an hour later and we've got some really fluffy looking brownies. Just gonna check their doneness with the tried and true toothpick test. Yep, clean as a whistle, perfect. Just gonna put that aside to cool and break out our decorations. We actually went one dessert without heavy cream, but here it is again. Oh well. So yeah, we're making whipped cream, and while this recipe did specify the amount of cream and sugar we'd need, I just defaulted to the whipped cream from Himari's pudding. 100 milliliters of cream to a teaspoon of sugar. Also gonna need a strawberry, which, yeah, we only actually needed one, but as I said back with the shortcake recipe, I love these things. Yum. Also gonna need the stupid chocolate pen that I'm heating up in some warm water and a single almond. Alright, so first things first, I'm gonna whip up this cream, this time with my stick blender. This thing is so much easier to use than my usual hand mixer. Just gonna whip up this cream a little, add in the sugar, and keep whipping until we get soft peaks. Perfect. And now that the brownies have cooled off, I'm just gonna turn them out onto my cutting board, and then onto a plate. And unfortunately, I lost a little cause I guess I didn't let it cool down enough, but no big deal, we're gonna be rearranging these guys into little dog houses anyway. Gonna start by cutting down the middle and then into 6 even pieces. Just gonna take one of these guys and have it yet again down the long way. Take one of the halves and cut off a couple of corners so that you can get a bit of an equilateral triangle shaped roof for this house. My initial roof was a little bit too small to put on top, but no problem, we've got a lot of brownies here, so just cut one more and there, perfect. Now we're just gonna break out the chocolate pen and thankfully instead of drawing, we're just gonna use it as a glue to hold our roof and shingles in place. Normally I'd say it's a very bad idea to make a doghouse with glue, but hey, it's chocolate glue, I'm sure it's strong stuff. Actually, surprisingly enough, it holds these roof shingles that I made from the leftover chocolate bar pretty well. Just gonna put a couple on both sides and hey, may as well top it off with another block just in case it rains tonight. Stick one juicy strawberry in front of the house to act as the dog's head, and then using my whipped cream and my piping bag, we're just gonna give this dog a tail. Cause apparently his rear end just sticks out on the other side of the house. You know, the more I think about it, this is a fairly cruddy doghouse. Well, whatever, I'm just gonna draw an L on the left side of the house and a little swirl at the end. Next up, I'm just gonna give this dog some ears with the halved almond, and a muzzle and paws, again using the whipped cream. Last, I'm just gonna draw on some eyes and a mouth using the chocolate pen, which I can finally say goodbye to as it is officially empty. Good riddance. There, and that's a fairly cute looking Clifford looking critter. Anyone remember that children's book series? Nope. Just me? God, I'm old. Anyway, as nice as Clifford's house looks, I'll admit it's a little bland for my taste. Reason being because of that cake flour I mentioned. Weak flours like cake flour have lower amounts of gluten in them and therefore produce lighter, fluffier batters. Now of course, this works perfectly for cakes, but for brownies you kind of want a little bit of density to help highlight the taste of the chocolate. Hence why I usually use all-purpose flour, which has a medium amount of gluten in it. Maybe if I try it with some of the chocolate bar. Nope, just tastes like a brownie and a chocolate bar. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from this recipe, and to be fair, it was the easiest one so far, so I'm not really complaining, as it was at least fun to make. And while these brownies weren't exactly for me, I could see people liking them. They were light and fluffy and still at least tasted like brownies. Most of all, coming from a family of dog lovers, I gotta say, this one turned out probably the most aesthetically pleasing to me at least. Next time though, aesthetics will definitely be the word of the day when I tackle Shiel's parfait. After that, maybe I'll do some other miscellaneous sweets too. Just not the sweets castle. 3 stars plus difficulty. Yeah, I think I'd have an easier time finding a real gingerbread house. Anyway, farewell for now my friends, and... Ooh, new information on the next Alien movie. Ridley Scott wants to put even more focus on the AI characters. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go bake some special brownies for myself.